This year I want to read more. Now if you're like me, it's probably not the first time you've heard this. I know for myself, year in, year out, 5 or 6 years ago, mostly coming up to the new year, I had set myself the challenge of, this year I want to start reading, or I want to read X amount of books this year. And usually it'll start off strong, and then come into like February, March, April, it slowly starts to fall off. So yeah, reading can be difficult in a sense, because it does take a lot more of your mental energy. It takes you the time to actually have to slow down, concentrate a lot more than it would be if you were, say, endlessly scrolling through your phone on Instagram or on YouTube, or even just sitting down and watching like a film, TV show, or playing some video games. It's a different mindset that you need to get yourself in. And for me, what I found at least a couple of years ago, in order just to start reading more, was as simple as just finding what you love to read. So it just came down to asking myself, like, why do I want to read more, instead of just an arbitrary number of, this year I want to read 50 books, or this year I want to read 20 books, or whatever that number might be. That won't really give you the motivation, at least it didn't for me, for continuing to read day in, day out, day in, day out. And then when I found, in my case, that one book that I fell in love with, it became less of a thing of, I want to do this, and just, I enjoyed it so much that naturally I wanted to do it more and more and more. And at the time, it was a good few years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago now, I stumbled across a book that a work colleague gave me, a Samuel Bjork series called I'm Traveling Alone was the first book in the series. A thriller, and I guess it was just a mixture of the pace, definitely the characters, the setting, the mood. I just couldn't put it down. At the time, I'd sort of struggled to just keep up the pace with when I was reading books. I'd maybe get 10 pages in one day, and then the next day I just didn't really have the motivation to read it, or it was either too difficult, I wasn't getting anything from it. And for whatever reason at the time, I just wouldn't put a book down and just try to find something else. I would try to finish that book for whatever reason was behind that. I know it's really stupid, to be honest. Yeah, so I guess with that one book, at least what it changed for me was reading, in a sense, almost became less of a chore. I wasn't forcing myself to do it. I actually wanted to read more. And then the biggest thing I'd sort of learned from that was, instead of like setting yourself these targets, which is fine. I still do it to an extent. But the main driving force behind wanting to read more, instead of just, I just want to read more this year for whatever reason, actually thinking about the things you want to get from it. So I think for me at the time, it was both learning new skills, specifically around like my day job and my career. So there was a few handful of different topics and areas that I wanted to improve and grow upon. So I was looking for books around that. And then there was the side of, I just wanted to find interesting stories, just like the Samuel Bjork series, around interesting characters, whether it's a thriller, sci-fi, just something that I could lose myself in. I guess with that, as I just wanted to slow down a little bit more. So instead of going to films, sitting down 2 hours, done and dusted, I could just concentrate more, hopefully improve my sort of memory and other skills around that, but just slow down a little bit in an age where everything's just quick, instant, and just enjoy something and not rush through it. Almost a bit like, it feels like it's a bit like meditation for me. So this isn't like necessarily an advice style video, but one good tip I got from another video sounds quite simple. I think it's also mentioned in James Clear's Atomic Habits, but in this case it was just making it so simple for you that you cannot do it. So in my case, I'd sort of set a target to read 1 page a day, every day. And then a lot of the times, especially if you're enjoying a book, you end up reading 10, 20, 30, 40 pages. And then over time, it just accumulates. Because even reading 1 page a day, as stupid as it sounds, you know, over the course of a year, that's a whole book. Maybe 2, depending on the length of the book. But that's more than what you would have done if you didn't read anything at all. And again, it's just growing that habit. And I think that combined with eventually finding stuff you really enjoy, either if it's getting value from or just books that you fall in love with completely, it becomes less of all this where you're trying to force yourself into it to an extent and it's just something you enjoy. But at least for me, as I found at the start, I had to push myself into it because unlike other areas where you're maybe relaxing or doing other activities, it's a lot more passive where you're just sitting, watching it. You can relax a bit more. Whereas with a book, it's more active. You need to put in the time and the mental energy to go through it. Reading can be hard. At least I found it when I was starting off. So historically, when I was younger, hardly read at all. In fact, like, I didn't even enjoy reading. When it came down to even like school, when we had to take a book, analyse it, write like a little review and analyse it and the structure of it in like primary school and stuff, I would pick a book that I'd already watched a film around. I remember one of the first ones I picked up was Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. I'd already watched the film, I thought this is going to be easy. I know the plot, I can just write about it. That didn't work. I mean, the teacher saw right through that one, but when I was younger, I didn't enjoy reading. I didn't have like either the mental capacity or energy for it, or I just didn't see the point, at least at the time. And then the older I got, the more I just saw value in it. I wanted to grow in my professional career, and I had felt that there's knowledge out there from people who've already done what I've done, who are more successful than me, who have more skills and knowledge in this field. And it just seems almost stupid not to take advantage of like decades of experience that they share through books. And then another side of it is at least at the start, I just wanted to read more to grow myself and almost to use it as some sort of form of meditation and just slow down in a world where everything's so quickly and we're consuming media so fast, and just really get like lost in like good stories, good plots with good characters, and also then on the flip side learn something from it with those other books. So that one book that I fell in love with all those years ago, that could be just around the corner from you. So if you are someone who just genuinely, like me back all those years ago, wanted to read more, and you want to read more, maybe you're setting yourself a target this year or next year, or you're sort of sitting here thinking, oh, I really wish I maybe read more in my life or when I was younger. It's not too late now, so I would suggest just trying lots of books, but start by asking yourself, like, what do you want to get out of it? If you are just looking for entertainment and value, maybe just pick up some genres that maybe you're interested in, and if you don't like it, get rid of that book, put it down, try another one, keep trying and trying until you find that book that you just cannot put down. And then it'll change, at least for me, it changed sort of my perspective on reading. From being almost like a chore and something I felt like I had to do, to something I actually wanted to do and do almost every day now. So let me know if you found this interesting, and if you are looking to read more books this year, let me know down below. How are you getting on? Have you started yet? And maybe just share some like tips and tricks of things you've found helpful that have, I guess, made reading more consistent in your life, especially if you're busy, you've got a full-time job, you've got family, you've got kids. It is difficult to carve out the time to read, especially when it does take more energy than maybe just sitting down at the end of the night, putting on a TV series and then going to bed. But if you have advice, drop it down below. Love to hear what you think, and see you in the next episode. See ya.